At this moment, we see US as a very important global player, a global leader. Yet in this region, it seems to be no longer a partisan, no longer a non-partisan player. It's seen more as a partisan player because of the strategic cooperation which now exists between the United States and India. CPAC becoming an operational part of Belt and Road Initiative, they have taken counteraction in India. So India has become the strategic economic partner. You are trying to become China's economic and strategic partner. And of course, United States has been very clear and vocal about the fact that they're not happy about CPAC. They are not going to look at it positively. And unfortunately, this has created another point of traction between Pakistan and the United States. Ideally, we would like to maintain a relationship with both. This is the ideal circumstances. But the reality is always different. The reality is this, that the United States has chosen India as their partner. So it's not going to be about what they want and how we feel. Do we want to see more love from them? It's not like that.
Watch Federal Post. Bold and independent.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Hassan Zafar, and this is a program Talking Politics. Joining me today is Dr. Maria Sultan. Dr. Maria Sultan is a defense expert, and she is a chairperson and president of South Asian Strategic Stability Institute, that is SASSI. Thank you very much, Dr. Maria, for joining me.
Thank you. It's a real pleasure being with you.
Let's begin talking about Pakistan-US relationship, because that is a major area of concern when we think about Pakistan's defense and security. How do you see, where does this relationship stand today?
Well, the Pakistan-US relationship is perhaps one of the oldest relationships which we have had with any country in the world. There's no doubt about that. However, at this moment, we would say that this is a relationship which is standing in deep waters. I'm saying this because of the fact that despite our great history of cooperation, we have also had certain conflictual time periods where there has been literally absolutely no trust between the two sides. At this moment, since 2001, and then progressively after 2018, the US-India relationship has kind of, overshadowed Pakistan-US relations, and that has been unfortunate. At this moment, we see US as a very important global player, a global leader. Yet in this region, it seems to be no longer a partisan, no longer a non-partisan player. It's seen more as a partisan player because of the strategic cooperation which now exists between the United States and India. There have been 60+ agreements, and as a result of that, there is military cooperation, scientific cooperation, political cooperation, economic cooperation, which is going on between India and the United States. And of course, this comes at our detriment. We would have appreciated if that the bilateral relationship between Pakistan and the United States would have gone on a smooth curve. But unfortunately, it hasn't picked up the pace. Rather, I would say it's more like lame duck at this moment. And it has been quite controversial when it has come towards the political happenings in Pakistan, where at one time, one political party actually totally, linked them in terms of their ouster. And then now they're using the US Congress again, interestingly, to get them back into power, or at least to get some concessions here. So either way, this is going to be controversial because you cannot expect another foreign country to be directly involved in a country's internal affairs. And even then, to fight political battles in that country. So I think this is, pretty much the situation with which we are dealing with. We are hopeful that the Pakistan-US relationship would build on its own, and there will be some bilateral emphasis which moves away the relationship from security cooperation towards economic or strategic. But as of yet, there seems to be no traceable, injectable, cooperative framework which exists between the two countries, which can actually take it to the new pace.
How big is CPAC as a factor in solving the relationship between the US and Pakistan?
Well, it is one of the factors, but it's not the factor. Right. It is one of the important factors because, of course, there is a larger contestation which exists between the United States and China with regards to the world economic affairs and who's going to become the world economic leader. And in this context, of course, Chinese behavior becomes extremely important. China's emphasis and star emphasis of Pakistan as part of the 7 countries which would lead the Belt and Road Initiative becomes problematic for the States. And they have not been sitting idly on it. So it's not that, they're just opposed to CPAC becoming an operational part of Belt and Road Initiative. They have taken counteraction in India. So India has become the strategic economic partner. You are trying to become China's economic and strategic partner. And of course, United States has been very clear and vocal about the fact that they're not happy about CPAC. They are not going to look at it positively. And unfortunately, this has created another point of traction between Pakistan and the United States, which should not have been the case. Because we believe that bilateral relations is a right and responsibility of every country in terms of how they see it and how they want to move and progress on it.
India is worried about CPAC and the United States is worried about the BRI. So is that where the interest or the strategic interest of both countries coming together?
Well, it's not just the Belt and Road Initiative. It is about the United States reorienting its global order with regards to its new economic, political, and strategic partners. And in this case, they believe that India is going to be a security provider for them in this region. It is going to play the anti-China card for them. They believe that Australia is going to be another member for are their partners in this. So it's pretty much maintaining the Western Hemisphere and the leadership in global affairs. And of course, the Belt and Road Initiative comes as an opposing idea. And not only it comes as an opposing idea, it comes also with opposing partnerships. And those partnerships do not include these countries. They do, but not as the primary actors. The primary actors in the Belt and Road Initiative from the land route is between Pakistan, Iran, Russia, Rotterdam, and Finland. And last but not least, we're looking at Paris. So in this case, this is and Berlin, Germany. So if you look at it, it has a Euro-Asian perspective, but at the same time, it's also coming down from Pakistan. And it goes down from Pakistan and Iran. It goes down to include Saudi Arabia, Africa, and so on and so forth. So of course, it's a question of economic dominance. It's a question of reorientation of the global markets. And also in terms of how do you deal with the economic influx, which we're dealing in the Indian Ocean. That means at this very moment, there has been almost 290% increase in the Indian Ocean with regards to global communications, of global trade, which is passing by in terms of oil, in terms of industry, in terms of anything you name it. So yes, it is a global contestation. Yes, the Belt and Road Initiative is a challenge. And yes, this is one of the key factors for mobilizing, but it is not the only factor. These are the tools, the partnerships, which are impacting, but in the bigger picture, it is between the United States and China, where this battle is being fought, and other countries are paying the price for being a pawn or not being a pawn.
We are paying the price too. On our end, our major worry is that we have been treading a very tight rope between China and USA. Which way should we put our weight? That is the overarching question in relation to our defense and foreign policy. It doesn't seem to be quite well balanced.
Ideally, we would like to maintain a relationship with both. This is the ideal circumstances.
Yeah.
But the reality is always different. The reality is this, that the United States has chosen India as their partner. So it's not going to be about what I want, what they want, and how we feel. Do we want to see more love from them? It's not like that.
We feel very
60 plus
guilty.
agreements which already have. Yes. So there's 60 plus agreements which have already gone through, and those 60 plus agreements are not going to change because of me or you. So that's the reality of it. The second part is, of course, what we can do about it. And what we can do about it is that we try and balance it out. So at this moment, we're trying to balance it out. We're trying to come up with a better legal economic framework with which we can work with China, we can work with the United States, and we can keep our options open. And we can have an independent supply chain, which can give us that independence of action. But then it is becoming limiting for us. Now, why is that so? It is primarily because of the fact that IMF and all of these other things are being controlled by the United States and the US-led system, and they are coming full force on you. And on the other hand, of course, the Chinese are coming full force on you. So you are dealing with a very interesting configuration where the conflict is the parameter to which you're operating at the moment, not the cooperative framework. So we are hoping for a better relationship, but inevitably we will have to swing towards China. Not because of any other reason, but because of the fact that the
Inevitably, we
choice
will have to swing towards China. You said we're keeping our options open, but keeping options open all the time leads to a state of confusion. Do you think that it's a very prudent decision or a policy?
I think, like I said, we are hoping for it, but the reality is that we will have to swing. Because the fact of the matter is that we have to make the concessions. So if one side is being extremely difficult for us, then the other side is going to create economic space for us, or genius is going to be how much we can negotiate, how fast, how better, what is the legal framework, how we can maintain all of these issues, and what we can do in the future. That is what we're looking at, and that's what we're aiming to do. So as far as the rest of the things are concerned, if we're going to have a sea change in Pakistan-US relations, unfortunately, no. Because for that, we need a very strong, consistent effort, a new framework, not just from our side, but also from the United States. And in order for that, they will have to make a strategic shift. Now, in that strategic shift, what is it that you're going to offer? Can you actually totally become a US lackey? You can't. India has chosen that role, and it's great for them. But the point is that it's also going to come with a price. Now, the price may not come now.
We have already paid a lot of price for the crimes we have not even committed. How prepared is Islamabad to take this swing that you are suggesting?
We are quite prepared, that's for sure. Because Pakistan is a unique country, as you understand, and people who sit in the hot seat in Islamabad definitely understand this dynamic better than anything else. Because this is the dynamic which we have faced and absorbed since the very creation of the state in 1947. So 75 plus years of global power competition, which has been fought in our territories, or it has been fought in our neighborhood. So we understand the dynamics, we understand our challenges, and I think we've done very well considering the fact that in other places where this competition has become, a forefront, those countries have suffered drastically and they've gone into total chaos. We are blinking on it, but we are still there, and there is a lot of hope because we as Pakistanis and we are determined that we will have a future which will bring prosperity to our people. Yes, we will have to make difficult choices. We will make unpleasant choices and maybe not very popular choices. But at the end of the day, if it allows a tangible future, which is based on economic and political and military security for your people, then you've done the job. If not, then of course it's a challenge. So it is a lot of shuffling. It's got to, we got to make lots of balls in the air. But one thing is for sure, we are determined to succeed as a nation, and we're determined to succeed as people because there is no option for us as a failure.
Certainly we are. We have to be quite determined. You said China is exerting a lot of pressure in Pakistan. What kind of pressure is that? Let's sandwich another thing with this question. The Chinese delegation was in Pakistan. There was a lot of talk about it, and which is being termed as the second phase of the CPAC. Is that really the second phase of the CPAC, to the ML1 project, etc.? Because the other sources are saying that the Chinese delegation was here in Islamabad to conduct audit for phase 1 rather than initiating phase 2.
I think it's always easy when people respond and question counterterrorism efforts of another country. But the reality is that we are living in an age of terrorism. If terrorism could happen in the United States, which is supposed to be the most equipped, the most capable, militarily advanced, in terms of all kinds of equipment, multiple agencies, multiple borders, global influence, and so on and so forth. If they could face terrorism, any country in the world could face terrorism. So the question is not that you're facing terrorism. The question is, what are you going to do about it? And what is your resolve? So I think in terms of the resolve, the Pakistani nation has shown unflinching resolve, not only to keep our country safe, but also paid a huge price for it. We are the second most hit country when it comes to facing terrorism and also to carry out effective counterterrorism operations. Now, in the story of counterterrorism operations, there comes a point where you have to make a decision that do you continue to, rely more on 100% kinetic operations, which has given us stability. There's no doubt about that. But at the end of the day, purely kinetic operations will not sustain that stability for you. So you would need to make certain changes in your political, economic, and legal system so that you're able to sustain that peace, and that it becomes a wholly absorbed understanding that you as a nation will not absorb terrorism. You will take effective counterterrorism measures, and you will also take responsibility for your counterterrorism measures. And this is a debate which the Pakistanis have on our own, and we are trying to have that debate on our own. Yes, it's not easy because the biggest challenge, as we have said in countering violent, in our counterterrorism latest operation known as Operation Resolve Stability, it is basically indicative of the same idea that we have to deal with counterterrorism, not just as a kinetic force, but also in the diplomatic, economic, political realm, and then at the same time also to do something to do counter violent extremism. And that is the strength with which we want to move ahead on it. Challenges, yes. Difficulties, yes. But do we have the resolve? Yes, we have the resolve. The price is a different matter. What is the price?
Price is a different matter. Dr. Maria, talking of terrorism, Afghanistan immediately comes to mind. We cannot ignore that question. So let's bring that into this discussion now. Is there a permanent solution to that problem? The Afghan problem, that we cannot get away from it. I mean, we are desperate to exist.
You asked $1 million question. The question is, yes, there is an answer. The question is, are we willing to support that answer? Unfortunately, no. The Doha process ended with an interim government.
Yes.
The Americans building, and they negotiated their peace at the cost of everyone else. We understand that because they were the biggest fighting force on the ground at that time. But at the end of the day, the question is this, that what peace have you left? If you've left the peace where you're not accepting the interim government, you want the interim government to follow a political process which you left along with your troops, it's not going to happen. And then comes the bigger question of the future of the economic stability of the Afghan state. How is the Afghan state in itself? Now, let's think from an Afghan point of view. The Afghan point of view is that they have been fighting global wars in the last 20 years. They have negotiated, manipulated all global powers into yielding into whatever they wanted. So will they leave terrorism as a global tool? No. Are they going to leave a regional tool? No. The only thing is that at this moment, they're nuancing it. They want this tool to remain effective, but at the same time, because you haven't given them any other way to remain globally relevant, have we come up with any regional cooperation in which we have made them actual part and parcel of that? No. Have we allowed for these processes to become more visible for the regional connectivity even? No. Have we allowed them for global interaction? No. The only interaction we have got with them is only on security and on terrorism. So will they like to have no cards with themselves? No. They will definitely like to maintain the cards. And then this is the bigger question of the untold, unsolicited, unquantified weapons which they've left. The United States has left in
exactly.
America.
And that's exactly what Donald Trump talked about during his debate with Joe Biden, that you pulled out from Afghanistan in a hurry and left billions of dollars weapons into their hands. So that is where we are sitting at the moment. Yes.
So these are things that are hard questions, and these hard questions means that will you have a stability in Afghanistan? So in the long term, perhaps yes, but in the short term, no. Because the economic order, the regional economic order, the internal security, the internal economic order has to stabilize. None of the countries in that region are at this moment stable in that sense. Between Pakistan, in terms of Iran, not in the economic framework. Yes, we are maintaining stability, but that is a relative peace. So when you are fighting for relative peace and you are at war, you cannot expect another war-torn country to be uplifted.
But we also know about China's growing interest in Afghanistan because of CETA, because of other reasons.
I think that is true, and this is the question.
bring some hope for stability and some reasonable relationship between the two countries?
No. Because you see, you have to understand that the United States left
Yes.
with the guns, the weapons, and everything else, and also with the political legitimacy. So what is left behind is the state fighting for its survival. Now, will China like to promote political stability to Afghan government? No. Because if you will give stability to the Afghan government, then you cannot negotiate terms of agreements which would be suitable to you. So they're interested in economics, and they're interested in a bigger access to the Afghan market without any global competition. So you play.
Are you saying that it is in the interest of the Chinese government to keep Afghanistan in a state of instability?
In the interest of the global powers, for their own reasons, not to bring stability and to the Afghan state, because each is benefiting from the current state. Who is not benefiting from the other regional countries such as Pakistan, such as Russia, such as the other neighboring Central Asian republics, who are facing terrorism on a daily basis, who are facing economic influx on a daily basis. We are dealing with it. We're dealing with it.
We are dealing with it in a very, very different way, certainly.
It's quite on it. Tomorrow, they will face another 9/11. Because you see, if you're only going to relevance on terrorism, then you do not expect global security to be effective. Here, the global power competition has a convergence of interest. And the convergence of interest is not supreme in terms of bringing stability in Afghanistan, 100%, or economic development, but piecemeal stability. So they're looking for a relatively stable Afghan government, a relatively economically empowered Afghan government, but not a very stable Afghan state.
Brings me to the overarching question. Are the world powers, including China and the United States, interested in keeping Pakistan and Afghanistan together in a perpetual state of instability, political instability? Is it in their interest to push both these countries into some sort of disorder, economic and political disorder?
No, in the case of Pakistan, it's a little different. Because for China, it's important that Pakistan should be stable so that they can have a stable, because they're looking for economic cooperation here. They're not looking for political, looking for economic cooperation. Well, the United States, they want relative peace in Pakistan because they're sure whether they want to take us 100% apart or they want to be with us. So we have some the United States and Pakistan at the moment. If we come up with a better relationship, and we come up with a better framework of cooperation, we can pick up the pace. But unfortunately, at this, we have no economic agenda between the two states. And since there is no economic agenda between the two states, the limit of cooperation will remain entangled in the security formulations and will remain entangled in the larger global power competition than anything else.
Thank you very much, Dr. Maria Sultan, for joining me today. I would certainly want to have another episode following this one, whenever we can have another appointment with you. Thank you very much for watching Talking Politics. Good afternoon.
Thank you so much. Thank you.